Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of liftandshiftdev. So today we're gonna look at how to do code splitting in React project. And for this episode, I only show you guys how to do code split on client side. And in the next video, I'm gonna show you guys how to do code splitting on server side rendering. So right now, let's look at the sample project. So I have a really simple React app right here. So this app basically got some routing, contact, about, and home page. And for the home page, it's really simple components. Basically, just a text and a link to other pages. And the project basically looks like this. When I click on about, just go to about page, and the contact, go to contact page. And then we click home and go back to the home page. Right. So that's pretty much for this project. And now I'm going to show you guys how to split React DOM, React Router DOM, or style component to different chunks. So the idea of this is we can have the app chunks and vendors chunks loading in parallel, and that's going to help the application load a little bit faster. So in order to do that, Webpack will provide you a entry point, and I can modify this entry point to have a app, which is import from the source.index.tsx, and this gonna depend on the vendors. Right, so now I need to declare my vendors entry. So for vendors, I'm gonna put React, and React Router DOM, and style components. Yep, so this gonna split the builds into different chunks. And if we remove this distribution folder, and now I'm gonna start doing a new build. Now if we do a yarn build, and if you look at this folder, yeah, you can see in the index actually load two chunks, two bundles. One is vendors, the other is app, and this contains our application code. And this one contains all the React DOM, React Router DOM, and style components. And if I run this code, I'm gonna do a yarn dev. I forget to show you guys the script in package.json. Basically, dev run the webpack dev server, and build just build and move all the static file into this folder. So if I open my Chrome and look on the network tab, I'm gonna do a refresh. You see this? It's load the app chunks, app bundles, and vendor bundles. That's pretty cool, right? Now because our application actually have three routes, if we go back to the app component, we have three routes: contact, about, and home page. And now I don't actually want to load all the code for the whole applications when I go to a particular page. Instead, I want to load necessary code for each route only. And one way to do that, we can do code split on routes. On client side, you can do React lazy and suspend, but I don't actually like that solution because it's only work on client side. So I suggest using the loadable components, and I can find that for you guys. I think this, and I suggest using this one. For this project, we only split on client side, but I really recommend this one. You can do with React Lazy on client side, but this one actually supports server side rendering as well. So the reason I choose this using loadable component, because I want you guys to get familiar with this library, and in the next video we're gonna split on server side. And for now, in this video, I'm gonna show how to use this library to split all the components or prefetch or preload necessary code. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna install this loadable components. Okay, so I just installed that library, and if I go back to app, I'm gonna import the loadable. Okay, so from here I'm gonna do home loadable equal loadable. I'm gonna import that home component. And the fallback when loading this, I'll just do a loading really. And now I'll just do the same for other contacts and about. Okay, because I haven't installed the type for loadable components, so I'm gonna do it now. Now I'm gonna replace everything with the loadable components I just create. And I can remove these imports. Now if I go back to my terminal and do a yarn build, actually I remove the disk folder first and do a yarn build. Now if you look at this folder, you can see this. We still have these app bundles and vendors bundle, but this also have the about, contacts, and home bundles. And this is because we already split the component by route. So by default, when we actually go to our application, it's actually load the app and vendor first. And based on the routes that we are in, it actually start loading the components. If the loading is still in progress, it's gonna render the fallback, which is the loading state that we have right here. So if I clear the network tab and do refresh, you see this is load the app bundles and the vendor bundles and also the home components that we make it just loadable components. Now if we move to the about route, it start loading the about code. So basically it's only loading the necessary code bundle for us. So this is gonna reduce the loading time and increase the rendering time for our application. Now if I move the contact route, it's loading the contact component, which is pretty cool, right? So that's how you code split on routes in React application. You can do better than that. You can even go in deeper level and do preloading code or loading code when necessary. Like for example, when you have a button that when you click the button and it shows certain components, you can make that certain component to be loadable. So when the user click on the button, you actually start loading the code for that component. So that's going to reduce the bundle size to low when you first come to the application. Now, I'm going to show you guys how to preload a component now. So let me kill this. Now I'm gonna create a new component called intro. So in this intro, I basically just display some text. Okay, so I got a really simple intro. So in my home, I'm gonna create a button. Say display intro. So just do a return. Okay, so I'm gonna import my intro component here. So I'm gonna use a use state. Okay, so when show intro is true, I'm gonna display the intro component. Right, so this I'm gonna put on click equal set show intro equal true, right? And because right now on default the intro component won't display, so I don't need to load the code for it. So one way of because I don't want to load the code for it at the moment. However, when a user hover on this button, that signifies that the user might want to display the intro. So when the user hover on this button, I want to preload the code for the intro component, so that when user click on the button, it's gonna show it doesn't need to load the component code anymore, and then it can start rendering straight away. So one way of doing that is to import the loadable. And I'm gonna make this intro equal loadable. I'm gonna import. I'm gonna make a fallback, just a div loading. I don't need this this import anymore. Right, so now intro is unloadable, and when a user hover on this button, I want to preload the code. So I can do intro dot preload. Okay, so when user hover on this button, it's gonna preload the code. So let's us do a yarn dev and observe the behavior. I'm gonna do a refresh. Now you can see the button here. There's no intro component display. Now observe if I hover on this button. You see this? When I hover on this button, it's actually preload the code for the intro component, which is pretty cool, right? Now you just start clicking intro, it displays the intro component. So yeah, this is pretty much I want to show you guys on how to do code splitting on client side, and I hope you guys find this content of the video useful. If you do, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.